March 31st, 2020, regular town board meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Present.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Present.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Here.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Here.
Councilman McPartlin.
Here.
Supervisor Syed.
Here. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're now going to move on to approval of the minutes. We have the minutes of the February 25th, 2020 regular meeting. Do I have a second to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Are there any changes or adjustments to these minutes? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll and to approve the minutes?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Councilman McPartlin.
Abstain.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes. So we have 4 ayes, 1 abstention. Those minutes are approved. Next, we have the minutes of the March 16th, 2020 special emergency meeting. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any changes or adjustments to these minutes? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll on these minutes?
Councilman Delarada.
Aye.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Councilman McPartlin.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes. We have 5 ayes on the minutes, and those minutes are approved. Before we move into privilege of the floor, I am going to introduce 2 resolutions ahead of privilege of the floor. We're going to begin with Resolution 2020-88, sponsored by Councilman McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution appointing and promoting a lieutenant.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Aye.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Councilman McPartlin.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Motion passes. And I'm going to ask that Officer Wall join me at the front along with Chief McManus for the administration of the oath. I, Francis E. Wall, do solemnly swear
I, Francis E. Wall, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Lieutenant in the Niskuna Police Department
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of Lieutenant in the Niskuna Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So we'll come up and just sit in a. Congratulations. All right. Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you. We're going to continue going slightly out of order. And we're going to be reading Resolution 2020-89, sponsored by Councilman McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution appointing a police officer to the Niskuna Police Department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Aye.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Councilman McPartlin.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Motion carries. I'm going to ask Mika Mosher to join me here, along with the chief, once again, to administer the oath. I, Kamiko N. Mosher, do solemnly swear
I, Kamiko N. Mosher, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of police patrolman in the Niskuna Police Department
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of police patrolman in the Niskuna Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Pradiko, we just have your shield to start. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know we brought John from the Schenectady Police Department. You were a dispatcher for us for 3 years before going there, and we're really happy to have you back. We know you'll serve the town of Niskuna as diligently as you did the Schenectady Police Department. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, I'm happy to be back. Thanks.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Supervisor.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you all for allowing me to go a bit out of order. We're now going to move on to privilege of the floor. We had comments submitted via email. And pursuant to New York State Executive Order 202.1, that allowed us to hold our meeting via video conference and allow public comments to be submitted via publiccomments@niskuna.org. So I'm going to read these comments in order of how they were received. There are quite a few, so either in the process of reading these or at the end, before we move on to committee reports, we are going to take a brief respite just to, take a moment, maybe get some water, and then reconvene. So I will note when that is happening, but I am going to start with our first. And our first public comment is from Andrea Worthington. She writes, "Dear Town Board and Supervisor Syed, a number of neighbors have been wondering if, given the unknown length of time of the current need for staying at home and the disruption of the food supply chains, is it time to allow Niskuna residents to keep backyard chickens for eggs and meat? A health emergency like this requires creative solutions. Some health professionals predict we may be required to keep social distance for 18 months. Grocery stores have been running out of staples. It is a good time to allow people to keep and grow their own food beyond a vegetable garden. Sincerely, Andrea Worthington." Our next public comment was submitted by Brenda Helm, and she writes,
I'm sorry, can you give us the addresses of these folks, just like how we'd get them?
I would love to provide the address. However, these individuals did not necessarily provide them. I do
Okay.
have their email addresses.
Okay,
So where I do see an address, I will read those off. But where I don't, I'll just start reading into the messages.
terrific. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So we're on to our next, and this is Brenda Helm, and she writes, in this crisis time of global pandemic, the strains on food supplies have become clearly defined. Food and supplies once easily affordably attained have become difficult, if not impossible, to come by. The need for social distancing creates often insurmountable challenges in obtaining healthy, fresh food. It is in times like this that the need for self-sustenance and local community food resources become imperative to the well-being and stability of individuals, as well as their families and towns. Urban flocks are an integral part of the solution to a community food crisis. Our community leaders have been tirelessly diligent, supporting the physical and mental health and well-being of our town citizens during this most recent crisis. My appreciation for your services is profound, a feeling I'm certain is shared by all of the community. Thank you for all you have done and continue to do. We must take steps to continue your good work and open new options to mitigate crisis situations like this in the future. Amending zoning laws to allow backyard chickens is a small step toward that goal. Over the past 10 years, I've spoken at length before various town committees and private meetings with town leaders and provided copious quantities of documentation supporting the needs people have for owning a small, well-kept urban flock of laying hens. I will not waste your valuable time reiterating the well-supported facts. I ask you to review and reconsider your position based on the previously submitted arguments and documents. Change your mind, change the law, help our community. As always, I am available to answer questions or provide any assistance necessary in making this vital change to allow laying hens in Niskayuna. I look forward to working with you and making our community ever stronger as we move into a healthy future together. And that concludes that public comment. Now I'm going to move on to the next public comment. This is submitted by Laura DaPolito. I do not have an address. She writes, I am writing to respectfully request the town reconsider allowing backyard chickens. We live on a 2-acre lot with woods and have a terrible tick problem. I've had Lyme disease, as has my stepson, from tick bites we received in our yard. Chickens are a wonderful way to naturally decrease tick populations. Additionally, I would like the eggs to give the families in my neighborhood and on my caseload. I'm a school social worker and find hunger to be a real issue for folks in our community. Thank you in advance for considering this request. I would be available to share more information on how I would raise the chickens to be clean and respectful of others around noise concerns. And that concludes that public comment. Moving on to the next public comment. This is submitted by Dimple Gassi of 4076 Windsor Drive. And they write, respected town supervisor and the rest of the members of Niskayuna Town Board, I would like to begin by saying I hope all of us are doing our part in slowing the spread of COVID-19. Together we can all beat this. I want to express my strong opposition to Windsor Drive extension for the reasons listed below. One, my #1 concern is safety of our kids due to increased volume of traffic. This is already getting worse. This is both while boarding the school buses and while playing outside with their friends living across the street. 2, increased volume of through traffic that will be going straight from downtown Schenectady via Knott to Windsor, as this will be the shortest possible route GPS will show. 3, increased volume of traffic will reduce the value and character of our neighborhood that we cherish. We pay a significant amount of taxes every year for our homes, and hence our opinions and concerns should be heard. There are various streets connecting various neighborhoods to River Road directly, like Seneca, etc. So the new neighborhood could have its connection directly with River Road as well as the others. It is my hope that you as elected officials will heed to the concerns raised by neighbors impacted by this extension. Thank you. And that concludes that public comment. Next public comment is again submitted by Andrea Worthington. And she writes, on the agenda is a proposal to accept more contracts for waste to be processed at the wastewater treatment facility. This will again increase the number of trucks and potentially damage the roads on Route 7, Balltown Road, River Road, and Whitmire Drive. In addition, it impacts the recreational use of the trails and forests that surround the treatment facility with foul smells. The forests are part of a New York State recreational forest and should be protected from the air pollution generated in the processing of the wastewater from industries. Sincerely, Andrea Worthington, and she lists her address as 2177 Story Ave in Niskuna. That concludes that public comment. Next public comment submitted by Bob and Melissa Green of 4012 Windsor Drive. They write, town board members, first, to be absolutely sure you hear and understand my position, I am strongly opposed to the plan to extend Windsor Drive. My name is Bob Green and I reside with my wife Melissa and our 2 middle school boys at 4012 Windsor Drive. I was at the public hearing on March 9th where a unanimous opinion of Windsor Drive homeowners vehemently opposed the extension. Arguments for the extension were voiced solely by residents who don't live on or directly adjacent to Windsor. Their opinion kept coming back to the length of time the extension has been in the town plan. You know, no matter how long the extension has been in the town plan, it doesn't make it any less of a dumb idea. And frankly, the area has evolved since the plan was enacted. It's now a dense neighborhood with kids, dogs, bikers, walkers, etc. I'm sure there were no concerns when it was wooded or farmland. And what exactly is the problem you are seeking to solve by extending Windsor? From the town board discussion by Windsor residents, the people who live there doesn't seem to be a problem with the current configuration. However, if the road is extended, there are many issues from safety to traffic and speeding to reduce property values. All of these concerns raised so eloquently and thoughtfully at public hearing. So why do it, town board? What problem are you solving that outweighs our family safety, outweighs the intensified and dangerous traffic, and outweighs our lost home values on Windsor Drive? If you cannot provide a justifiable answer, then we respectfully insist that you reject the extension. Sincerely, from Windsor residents, strongly opposed. And that concludes that public comment. Next public comment is submitted by Yang Sui of 4045 Windsor Drive. They write, Dear Niskuna Town Board, my name is Yang Sui and I have been living at 4045 Windsor Drive since 2011. Before I purchased the house, I consulted the town about plans for extending Windsor Drive to River Road, and the answer was that there was no such plan in sight. I have 2 school-aged children, and they like to play in the front yard and driveway. I'm already concerned about traffic flying by at 40+ miles per hour in front of my house. If Windsor Drive is connected to River Road via the new development, I'm sure that the amount of traffic will increase significantly and people will drive even faster in front of my house. Windsor Drive is supposed to be a neighborhood street, not a throughway. Therefore, I voiced my strongest opposition based on safety and property value decrease. I hope that the town board will listen to the constituents' voice since it is the reason why they are voted in by the constituents. Thank you. That concludes that public comment. Move on to the next public comment submitted by Yamini Kaur and Mukesh Kaur. And they write, they reside at 4068 Windsor Drive. And they write, we, Yamini and Mukesh, are residents of 4068 Windsor Drive, Niskuna. We strongly oppose the proposed extension of Windsor Drive vehicular traffic connecting to River Road. We are worried about, 1, increased volume and speed of traffic on Windsor Drive will be dangerous to the pedestrian usage of the sidewalks. Kids often use these sidewalks by walking, biking to the library/high school. 2, this proposal will destroy the current quiet neighborhood quality of Windsor Drive and will have an adverse effect on our property values. Number 3, it will eventually become a straight connection from River Road to the Riverfront Casino at the end of Knott Street and will invite late night traffic from Schenectady. We support the part of the proposal to extend the existing sidewalk through the new development and connecting it to the bike trail. We strongly urge the planning board to put the safety of our neighborhood at the first priority in making a decision on this proposal. Thanks. That concludes that public comment. We'll now move on to the next public comment. And this is submitted by Victoria Varga Hootner from 4041 Windsor Drive. And she writes, Dear Supervisor Syed and members of the town board, my name is Victoria Varga Hootner and I live at 4041 Windsor Drive. I'm the mother of 2 young girls, one who is a 3rd grader at Rosendale Elementary School and one who will begin next year. I love my neighborhood. I live on the walkway side of the street. I love when the weather gets warm that we meet our neighbors as they walk by. I love seeing kids riding bikes, and my kids love to pet the dogs of every shape and size that pass. I'm writing to you vehemently opposed to the current proposal before you for Kelt's Farm. A road connection between Windsor Drive and River Road will turn our beautiful, walkable, meandering road into a major thoroughfare. This is unacceptable. There is no reason to increase the car traffic to our already busy street. As it is, I have to watch my children like a hawk because people speed down the road. It doesn't matter which time of day or night. We have our heavy traffic times when parents rush to drop their kids at the high school and people need to get to work. And the same thing occurs in the afternoon and evening. Thank God that at least 4 times my daughter avoided getting hit when cars flew by past her school. When cars flew past her school after it had stopped at a stop sign across the street. I have even seen people so unable to follow the speed limit that they pass other cars driving down the road. This is a deadly accident waiting to happen. Connecting Windsor Drive to River Road will lead to so many more cars using our street as a cut through. It is absolutely unnecessary to do this. There are enough other designed street connections to divide traffic from GE and Knowles Atomic Power Lab with traffic circles designed for the high volume of traffic these facilities cause. A road connection between Windsor Drive and River Road will be dangerous for not only my family and the families that live on the street, but for all of the families who use our walkway from all over town. While the addition of stop signs on our street would be welcome at this time, this would not change the anticipated volume of traffic that would increase down our street if a road connection is made. This will lower our home values as well. Our homes are some of the most distinguished in Niskayuna and come with both a hefty price tag and even hefty property taxes. People pay them now, but they won't if Windsor Drive becomes busier. I voiced my opinion at the town planning board and zoning commission meeting and waited to listen to the planning board's deliberation. It became very clear that their decision regarding the road was made way before they even heard what we had to say as a community. The builder had 3 different proposals, 2 of which did not have a road connection, yet the only proposal brought up for discussion at the open forum had a road connection. The planning board primarily referenced the town's comprehensive plan from the early 1980s as a reason for them insisting on the road connection. A lot has changed in the past 40 years. For one, some of the homeowners living in Niskayuna were not even born, including myself. Cars have become faster and more prevalent. Computers, cell phones, and GPS now exist. All of these things will contribute to more traffic and speeding down our road if it connects to River Road. When I went home and reviewed the most 2013 comprehensive plan online, there is nothing that indicates that a road connection needs to be made between Windsor Drive and River Road. Rather, it is mentioned that connectivity between Windsor Drive and River Road should be implemented in the form of a bike or multi-use path. A connecting bike path between Windsor Drive and River Road is acceptable to promote connectivity without destroying our street. While my primary concern in opposition is in regards to the road connection, I believe the town needs to also consider the rights of the owner to build on that property need to also be balanced by what is best for the community. The builder is asking to increase the density of his housing with a zoning exemption. This is going to add 24 housing units with a much lower tax basis than an R1 zoning would allow. These will also not be large homes in character with the current surrounding neighborhood. The addition of this many homes has the potential to add many more children to our already crowded school system, but will it cover the price tag of educating those children? Our school district is restructuring all of our schools in the near future due to increasing enrollment, increasing student needs, which is going to be a great expense. The school district has already announced impending layoffs. Where is this money going to come from? The smaller homes proposed by the builder requesting this exemption will be paying much less taxes than homes of an R1 zone property will. If building this new development causes our home values to go down on Windsor Drive because traffic increases, then shouldn't we all have a right to request a decrease in our taxes to follow suit? Niskayuna is full of busy professionals who are often spread thin between their home and work lives. We rely on you, our town board, to make good decisions on our behalf. We are in trying times right now. Many of the residents of Windsor are on the front line of this current COVID-19 pandemic. We intentionally live here because we are down the road from Ellis Hospital and ready to respond at a moment's notice. As a surgeon, I am unsure what each new day and week will bring over the next few months or even year. Medical professionals are preparing for a long marathon ahead. Please don't make us have to fight to protect the safety of our neighborhood while we have bigger battle to fight for the health of our community. Please realize that this proposal is not what your constituents want. We want our streets to be quiet, our neighborhoods to be safe, and our green spaces to stay green. Please be our voice. And that concludes that public comment. And I do just want to note that we don't have the special use permit on for our consideration tonight. So I do see, quite a few opinions being voiced about the Windsor Drive connection, but again, that's not something that we are going to be considering this evening. So we do appreciate your comments, that we have them, that we can digest them, take them in. You can continue to submit your comments regarding the Windsor Drive extension if you so choose. But I do want to let everybody else know who's watching that we are not going to be considering this evening. So with that said, I will still continue to read the public comments that are pertaining to Windsor Drive connection. So that brings me to our next public comment. And this public comment is submitted by Bill and Linda Ward of 4028 Windsor Drive. And they write, "We would like to register a very strong objection to extending Windsor Drive to River Road. This will cause a market decrease in the property value of each and every home in Windsor Drive. It will cause an enormous increase in traffic on an already very busy road. Presently, there are no stop signs on Windsor Drive, and many cars drive down the street much too fast. Connecting Windsor Drive to River Road will only make the situation worse, as many people will speed. It will make an overall decrease in the quality of life for people living on Windsor Drive." And that concludes that public comment. Move on to the next public comment. This is Catherine and Berkeley Davis of 4020 Windsor Drive. And they write, "We are strongly opposed to the Windsor Drive connection to River Road. It would accentuate the already large problem of fast-paced traffic on Windsor Drive, posing a serious threat to all residents. The connection does not benefit the residents of the town." And that concludes that public comment. Next public comment was submitted by Dan Polishuk of St. Anne Drive. "Dear Town Board, I'm against the plan for new community and against the cut through to Windsor Drive. We have lived in Niskuna for the past 6 years. Many of my neighbors have lived almost a lifetime here. We are all on the same page. We all moved here for both a great neighborhood and awesome school district. Both are threatened every day by overcrowding and continued efforts by for-profit entities, private builders, etc., to profit off of our excellent reputation, neighborhood, and school system. We first moved to Windsor Drive, 4049, in November of 2014. We immediately noticed the issue I mentioned below. Cars were zooming down the street. It was almost impossible to back out of the driveway onto Windsor without getting hit by oncoming traffic. We subsequently moved around the corner to St. Anne Drive. This has had its own implications in connection to the planned project. First and foremost is traffic. With COVID-19 pandemic, we just learned that being connected is not all that it was thought to be. We are doing social distancing, and it is time for the master plan to change with the times. Having a pass-through for existing residents and back traffic from the new community to come towards Schenectady will no doubt increase 3 types of traffic: bike, pedestrian, and vehicular. None of the 3 are desirable for a neighborhood with 20+ families with elementary school children. This will increase the density of our neighborhood as well. Connecting roads will suffer just as much, as the entire local community will start taking this shortcut. It is also very hard to get out onto Windsor Drive as it is. More traffic will make it even harder and unsafe. Even worse was the suggestion by the builder to turn the entirety of the new development traffic to the right down River Road, away from GE and towards Iroquois and Rosendale schools. How will this connect the end of Windsor Drive to the center of the town, as was mentioned by one of the board members at the last meeting? Center of town is the other way. Without a traffic light, turning right or left onto a 40-mile-per-hour River Road is not safe. This retirement community will not be what elderly families would hope for. So younger families will move in with kids who will need to be placed in our overcrowded school system. What do we expect those homes to go for? $200,000, more, less? Is this a retirement age community? If this was a retirement age community, it would be too expensive and taxes too high. When you and I retire, we do not plan to pay more taxes, and let's not kid ourselves, low-cost housing is not the reason to build in Niskuna. It is a ploy to get the shovel into the ground, and once it is done, it will be too late. This seems to be happening too frequently in this town as of late. Look at the destruction to the forested area across ShopRite Plaza. This is a stark and everyday reminder of what will happen to the rest of the town if we do not pay attention. Also, keep in mind that as our home prices go down due to increased home availability and worsening neighborhood situation, we will be reassessing our properties to pay less taxes. There is no reason to pay taxes for the original assessment if we will never see that price when we try to sell our homes. If this builder is serious about making this more of a retirement age development, please require him only to sell to families 65 years or older. Specific fines and restrictions need to be in place to prevent the obvious from happening. Schenectady GE and Atomic Lab employees will be the first to try to get these homes. They are just down the road. And if we think no left turn sign will deter anyone from doing just that, more surprises are in store for the town players. Connecting directly to Blatnick Park is another huge concern. Teens hanging out at the park will now have direct access to our quiet community, not what I was looking for when I bought my home here. Finally, not once or twice, the builder himself admitted that he is building over wetlands. I am against this blatant attack on our local natural habitats. This project is aiming to not only destroy a local neighborhood, but also literally decimate local plant and wildlife. This area should be designated as a federally protected wetland habitat. In summary, 1, worst River Road traffic. 2, worst Windsor Drive traffic times 3, pedestrian, car, and bike. 3, home values will decrease. No one would like to buy here. 4, more families in an overcrowded school system, more tax hikes to pay for the expansion. 5, more people is not better. All of us would be in the city if we wanted to be crowded in. 6, safety for children will be negatively affected. 7, master plan should not compromise our safety and worsen our living conditions while bringing benefit to absolutely none except for the builder. It is time to change the master plan. 8, make this land a federally protected wetland preserve and disallow any development over wetlands. And that concludes that public comment. Next public comment is by Soma Day and Rajiv Dutta. Don't have an address. And they write, Dear Town Supervisor and Council members, we, Soma Day and Rajiv Dutta, are residents of Windsor Drive in Niskayuna. We would like to call to your attention the proposed extension of Windsor Drive to River Road via a new development. We strongly object to this proposal. We have voiced our opinion during the public hearing of the Town Planning Board, as did many of our neighbors. However, we left the meeting thoroughly disappointed, realizing that majority of the Planning Board members had already decided, even before the hearing, on approving the project without citing any concrete data or facts. This is not how a functioning democracy should work at a town or county level. Our objection to the project is mainly because of the fact that this extension will provide a straight connection between River Road and Erie Boulevard. Actually, a straight connection to the casino, and will increase the traffic on the road manyfold. None of the Niskayuna neighborhood streets provide this connection, hence any GPS will lead you through this path while commuting between Niskayuna and Schenectady. A few speed bumps along the way will not deter drivers from using this route. It will turn a neighborhood street into a major thoroughfare, endangering the safety of its residents and the serenity of the place. The property prices will be adversely affected, to say the least. The only reason the town board could cite is the comprehensive plan. Plans, even if they were made, need to be reviewed and reassessed based on the current situation, not blindly followed since it was thought of many years back. This road, if built, will change the character of this part of Niskayuna forever. A safe, beautiful, peaceful, and hence desirable neighborhood will turn into a traffic-heavy, loud, busy place, which I can ensure will make its residents question the tax rates and viability of settling here long-term. Hence, we urge our elected officials to listen to the residents. The planning board members clearly did not and stopped this damaging project immediately. That concludes that public comment. Move on to the next public comment. And this comment is from Emma Beltran. I do not have an address. And they write, hello, if you could please ask what are the steps our government is taking to protect nurses and hospital staff. Many nurses have received emails asking them to volunteer to help fight the crisis. How can we not pay the people who are willing to fight to save all of us and take such high risk for themselves and their families? Thank you. That's the conclusion of that public comment. Emma, I don't know the answer to that question, but we will certainly research it for you, and I will get back to you if I can ascertain an answer. Our next public comment is from John and Rachel Maynard of 4049 Windsor Drive. They write, Dear Town Planning and Town Board, I'm writing you to object to the Windsor Drive River Road connection that was discussed on March 9th at the Town Planning Board meeting. My wife and I both object to this idea of connecting Windsor Drive to River Road. This connection is not needed due to several connections that already exist within the footprint of this side of town. Example, number 1, Van Antwerp to River Road, 2, Briar Ridge to Chestnut Riverdale, 3, Viewmont Drive or Linwood Drive to Catherine Woods or River Road. The discussion of connecting Windsor Drive directly to River Road is a bad idea due to increased traffic that would be directed from every car, truck, GPS that is connected to a car phone. The Windsor Drive Road is a lovely residential neighborhood that will be changed due to increased traffic that will make the roadway unsafe for the neighborhood, which can be discussed more in detail in person. The roadway has become a speedway and does not need added traffic from all areas. The Van Antwerp / River connection was designed for the increased traffic and includes a roundabout that handles traffic to River today. The new River Road roundabout connection at Rosendale is going to fuel increased traffic down the Windsor Drive neighborhood if the connection is added. The increased traffic will lower our home values, which I believe is not what everyone wants. I look forward to more of a discussion on this topic face-to-face in the near future. I know COVID-19 safety precautions are needed at this time, fully warranted, but hope the board is not rushing this plan through until we have more of a public discussion in the near future with when safety precautions are lifted. Thank you for your time. That concludes that public comment. Next public comment is from Gretchen and Alec Platt of 220 Menlo Park Road. And they write, Dear Town Board members, it has recently come to our attention that the Planning Committee has intentions to create an extension from Windsor Drive to River Road. Naturally, we were surprised to hear this news and very disappointed. We strongly object to this plan for several reasons. 1, this invites much more traffic and congestion through our well-preserved and peaceful neighborhood. 2, students driving to Niskayuna High School in the morning will speed on Windsor Drive to make it to school on time. 3, more cars and potentially commercial traffic will be directed to Windsor Drive as a route with GPS. 4, we are afraid this will encourage a new bus route on Windsor Drive. 5, the walking / bike path on Windsor Drive encourages pedestrians to fully explore this neighborhood. Having more cars on Windsor Drive will become a safety issue, especially for our children. 6, along with exhaust pollution from more traffic, there will be noise pollution filtering through our quiet neighborhood. 7, concern for new accidents at intersection of proposed Windsor Drive and River Road because of the already difficult entrance / exit at Blatnick Park / town municipal driveways. Thank you for your commitment to our town and listening to our very sincere concerns of safety and general well-being with this new extension proposal. That concludes that public comment. On to the next public comment is Christopher Houtner of 4041 Windsor Drive. And they write, Dear Town Board Member and Mrs. Syed, my name is Christopher Houtner and I live at 4041 Windsor Drive. I am also vehemently opposed to the proposed connection of Windsor Drive and River Road. At the end of the Planning Board meeting held on March 9, 2020, it became clear that the Planning Board is in favor of the connecting road and the builder is not, but he included this in the final proposal to get the project approved. Why does the Planning Board think this is a good idea? They need to have a better justification other than it was in the original plan from over 40 years ago. The intent wasn't even, the internet wasn't even around 40 years ago. So that rationale, which was mentioned quite a few times during the meeting by the way, was strange and disrespectful. I think this is a terrible idea. It's terrible from a safety perspective because it will unnecessarily increase the traffic on Windsor Drive as a result of creating another route for thousands of GE Research and Knowles Atomic Power employees to consider using to and from work. Why not just connect the existing walkway from Windsor Drive to River Road, which would directly benefit and connect the neighborhood? I'm extremely disappointed in the planning board's decision and really hope some more thought goes into not only this project, but future projects as well, because the residents need to feel assured that their safety and best interests are the ones being protected. And in this case, this decision is clearly doing neither. That concludes that public comment. And so the next public comment, this is Dr. Lasers and their 3 children residing on Windsor Court. They write, hello, we have lived here in the neighborhood for almost 4 years now with 3 small children. We're always out walking and biking to Stewart's, the library, to friends' houses, etc. We love that this is a safe and reasonable amount of traffic to do with little kids, learning how to ride their bikes and scooters and navigate traffic and crossing streets. Please, for the sake of our children, being able to be outside and play and bike around, do not allow a cut-through road in the newly planned development to River Road. That concludes that public comment. On to our next public comment is from George Blanco. He writes, to whom it may concern, this is my comment for privilege of the floor for Tuesday, March 31st, 2020. My name is George, and I will be living in 9 Alvina Way. Love can consign us to hell or to paradise, but it always takes us somewhere. That love has taken me to Niskayuna. Alexis Kim, will you marry me? That concludes that public comment. I sadly won't know the answer to that question, but I'm hoping I will soon.
This member of the public.
Oh,
comments
no.
on that.
That's amazing.
That's
Well,
very
thank you.
exciting.
Yeah, George is here.
Oh my gosh.
Do we have an
Are
answer?
we gonna take our moment now? Because I need to run down the street. So.
We can take our moment now.
Wow, Alexis,
Congratulations.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she hasn't said yes yet, so
No pressure. No
No, I would say yes.
pressure. That's wonderful.
Yay.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that might be the coolest thing that I
No,
have ever
that is
seen.
definitely a first for me. So, and
What?
besides, Jeff Wilkin can't get in. There are a number of people. Yasmin, I'm sure that's probably also trying to get you, but you're reading. A
Yeah,
number of people can't get in. So why don't we pause? Well, maybe we'll finish reading that and then we will.
I think
pause
this-
and
yeah,
let people get in.
that concluded this public comment, so I think this would be a perfect time to take a
Well,
pause.
how many more public comments do you have, Yasmin? Why don't we just?
Oh, there are quite
finish
a few
them?
more.
None of them were as interesting. You should have saved that one for last.
I know I should have. Well, in fairness, I was reading them in the order that they were received.
Oh, that is fair.
Oh my gosh.
So why don't we all take a brief respite and I will be back.
What time?
Let's take 5 minutes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.